Today we've got somebody special. Usually we speak to people that are entrepreneurs in sales. We have guest people that may be trainers in sales. But today we're hearing straight from the real talk of what it actually takes to be an A player, salesperson, an entrepreneur. We've got David Lane from Joshua Roberts. That's right. Joshua Powell was actually a guest on this podcast, and he owns Joshua Roberts. And David Lane is one of his top A players in sales, and he's going to give you the step by step of what it's actually took him to go from recruitment consultant to an A player in what is the second biggest city in the UK, Birmingham. He's an A player recruitment consultant, associate director. Is that right, David?
Yeah, that's right, Lewis. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
So, you've gone on a journey to become an associate director within a recruitment company. So you're going to give today our listeners, whether they are business owners, whether they are entrepreneurs, or whether they're playing the game of employee, entrepreneur, you're going to give them the journey that you've took, giving them the information of what it really takes to play the game of sales in 2024. So, welcome to the Sales Drive podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Lewis Hayden, and I'm here to build sales titans. And we have a sales titan with us today, David Lane. So, how you doing, David? Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lewis. That's a very kind introduction for starters. So, sales titan. I'm not sure I've ever been called a sales titan before, but
I don't think I've ever been called kind either, mate, to be honest. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, very, very kind of you.
So give us your background then, David. So I've told you, tell us about the company that you're a part of, and tell us about some of the biggest learnings you've had so far in your career in becoming that sales titan.
Yeah, great. So, as you said, I work for Joshua Robert. Josh Powell, he's my boss, and you've had him on the podcast. Great guy. We're a property and construction recruitment business. That's that in a nutshell. That's what we do. So, sales every day in what we do. I've been doing it for 10 years now. Prior to Josh, I was with a large corporate. Funnily enough, the same one Josh was with. So a lot of synergy there, and we're now building our own business in Birmingham and recruiting internationally.
So Josh, if you go and listen to the Josh podcast, I used to coach Josh in a business coaching capacity. And when I first met him, he was on his journey of how he was scaling to his to certain levels of millions of revenue. And I remember him saying to me, Lewis, one of the big goals I want to achieve is to have international presence. So now he's in Miami. He's in London as well. So you've got offices in London now, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You've got people down there. But the main hub is, from my accent especially, is the Birmingham accent. And that's where your main office is that right? And that's where you're based.
Yeah, so based in Birmingham, in the Jewellery Quarter, we've got an office there. We're all experienced movers and shakers, is what I say. So we're all that's my terminology. We're movers and shakers. We've all been doing it for a long time, and we know what we're doing. We're real experts in our field. That said, we're learning every single day. Every single day, every single conversation is different, and it's a constant growth, personal development as well as the business growth as well. So we're all over that. So sales titan, expert, all of that stuff. I don't know it all. There's no one answer.
But this is the reality, isn't it, David? Is that if you review where I think I met Josh around about 4 or 5 years ago, the amount of progress he's made by having, and this is really interesting for the listeners because we get listeners on this podcast that are employees, entrepreneurs, managers, directors like yourself, certain sort of executives, CEOs, C-suite, all sorts. We're hearing now of what it actually takes to get people like you retain people like you. So if you are the business owner, entrepreneur, you're going to hear from David today of what it actually takes to find people like David and how you tick, David, to become a high performer within a business, because that's quite a big challenge for a lot of companies, a lot of business owners, and a lot of managers, is how they find people like you and retain people and motivate you. What are your drivers? So having Josh on the podcast was really cool because it shows that people can do it. If you set goals like, I'm going to have a place in America, in Miami, I'm going to have a place, from Birmingham to then go to London. Having you on this show is evidence of that having A players and building them allows those goals to happen.
100%. Yeah, I think every business in the country at the moment is struggling with A players and finding them and engaging with them. And this is our business, isn't it? This is what we do day in, day out. Is find that talent for the market, and engage with them, and how we sell to them. Do you know? When we're talking sales, we're not talking just about selling to our clients. The whole market has completely changed. We're selling more to our candidates as opposed to our clients. Trying
Really?
to, all the time, trying to nurture and understand what makes our candidates tick is the hard piece for us in this current market, and that's been a huge change. When I first came into recruitment, it was all about finding a job, finding a client that wants to give you their job.
Yeah.
Totally spin that 360. Nowadays, we're all about engaging and learning from our candidates so that we've got the best product in the marketplace
Wow.
to sell.
To have the best product in the marketplace, and you do that through engaging with your candidates. And tell me more about that. So when you say engaging, what sort of processes would you do? Because I'm thinking about this to give the listeners, by the way, that so our managers and business owners, they need to have this sort of information from you because you're playing at such a high level. And the standards that you hold yourself accountable, when I see what your company does, everyone else thinks they may be a high performer, but you guys are high performers because you've actually proven the track record of it. So what are you doing differently that you think a lot of other companies might be missing?
Yeah. Look, first of all, I think we're constantly improving every day
Yeah.
on exactly that. How do we engage more with our candidates and clients, and what can we do? I think
Yeah.
we get paid for for the transaction of recruitment. Okay.
Yeah.
However, my candidates and clients and my network use me because of everything else that I provide for them. So it's not just a single offering. It's the knowledge, the expertise, the advice, the help. They lean on you. For example, most recently, a client of mine renegotiating on his own contracts of employment. Well, he lent on me for that information. Now, that's not going to make me any money, not now. But
No.
the relationship and the strength of that relationship will make me money in years and years and years to come. So,
How would it make you money in years to come? Give us more information on that then.
yeah, really, really good point, Lewis. It's trust. It's
Okay.
trust. So people buy from people that they trust.
Right.
So from my experience, and in today's world, like there's so much choice in the market. There's so much choice, and if you look at sort of compare the market, for example, why do you go to an insurance broker when there's no need nowadays? There's compare the market. Same thing. Why do people come to me? Because rather than my competition or go online and do it themselves, well, it's because they trust me. They trust me with their that I know their business, that I'm doing the best for their business. I'm doing the best for them as individuals. You know, I can bring them opportunities, and you know, I'm almost an extension of their business. Really, I give you another short example. I do construction recruitment. So construction recruitment is very project based. There's we're having major construction sites in Birmingham, in London, across the UK, huge multi-million-pound jobs. They will have meetings, subcontractor meetings on site. The real art from my point of view is we get a seat at that table. We're in that table developing that project alongside the client and their subcontractors. So that's quite a privileged place to be in. You know, we're there on site doing it, and that's we get a real grasp of it. But you only get invited to those meetings if you're trusted.
Right, but so I mean, it's not rocket science, is it? If you're not trusted, then they won't do business with you, and that's whether it was 2024, whether it's been 1990 or 1950. You've got to trust the person, otherwise you won't work with them anyway. So that's nothing novel to say trust. How do you do it? How do you, if you've got, say, a competitor, yeah, let's say Sam Smith or whatever it is. Sorry, Sam Smith, if you're listening, by the way. If Sam Smith is your competitor and she works for an XYZ company and she's calling the same customer, how do you develop trust over Sam Smith?
Yeah, look, for me, it's just this again. Nothing is rocket science. None of this is that you haven't heard before. It's just doing it consistently.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so consistency.
Consistency, but also knowing your why. So why for me, like that's why I do it. So why that's really important to me is my why. Why am I doing this? But then also articulating that to my client is what helps me build that trust. So my why, and everybody's will be different depending on what you do as a job. Okay, my why in the construction industry is when you wake up in the morning and you brush your teeth before you get your nice suit on and come to a podcast, somebody has put that tap where it needs to be. And somebody has designed where that tap is going to be. And somebody has surveyed that tap where it's going to be in order to get there. So the 4 people that are involved in putting your tap in your place have improved your life today.
Okay.
So that is my why. I want to be a part of improving people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I truly and honestly believe that. So when I'm placing the right talent into the right jobs to create buildings or schools or universities, hospitals, for example, all these important jobs are actually about the end result, the end user, you, me, you know? And I think no matter what you're selling, what your product is, if you can have a real understanding of why you're doing it, then you make your sale so much easier.
I'm Sam Smith now. By the way, I warned you, David, as we come onto this podcast, I'm going to be a bastard because that's what people need. People need to have this information from you. So I'm going to dig a little bit deeper.
Well,
Sam Smith got...
Josh is my boss. So
it's not live, so if it was live, I'd be getting some text messages, I'm sure. Make sure he doesn't say this, and make sure. No, he's a great guy, Josh. He's a great guy. Go and listen to the podcast, by the way, and subscribe to this podcast so you can listen to other guests like Josh, and you'll see exactly what David means. But back to the point here, David, is that if I was Sam Smith, right, and I would be on a call, and I'd say, look, the reason I'm speaking to you right now, Mr. Client, is because I care and I have a strong why that I want to make people's lives better. Is that convincing enough to get that person to go, I'm going to still pick David? How do you demonstrate this why? Because words are words, right? You can say everything, but I'm just thinking, how do you fucking prove it?
Mm. Yeah. I mean, again, a good question, Lewis. And yeah, as you rightly said, you're a bastard. But um, it's it's um, it's it's how you articulate that to the client. So the
Yeah.
reason I'm doing my job is is all about the end user, and that's why I'm invested in it. Okay. Now, if that helps your client, then great. Is that middleman, and it's showing that bigger picture and that empathy, that drive to all be in the same direction. Okay,
Mm.
um, it, and if you can articulate that correctly to your client, then you're going to gain and win that trust that I spoke
Drive,
about.
drive to be in the same direction. I like that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
So yeah, that and it's easier. I will say it's easier done face to face than it is any other way. When you're trying to sell that initially. So in that instance, you said you were on the phone. Well, that's great. Phone calls are brilliant, much better than emails and texts or AI generated
Do you
marketing.
think so? Do you think phone is dead?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think the phone is very important, but there's nothing that can beat a face to face meeting.
Right.
Um,
So
you know,
face to face, if you can. The challenge of face to face is if you're not local to them, you got to travel, right? So that's
yeah.
dead time when you're traveling.
I question that.
Go on.
I mean, you can do a lot on the move anyway nowadays, but it's valuable. What you get out of a face to face is so much more than you would ever get out of a Teams call on it. So
Right. Okay.
investing in yourself and that time to go
Yeah.
and see your client is it is going to build that relationship and that trust.
But would you
For example,
qualify them before getting in the car? Though? Because if you've got to travel to Scotland to go and meet a client, which is 6 or 7 hours away from Birmingham,
mm,
and that could take you 2 days to just go and visit one client. I mean, and by the way, I'm challenging you on this because this is the sort of questions that people are asking in companies of where do I
yeah,
draw the line? You know?
yeah. Look, I think as a salesperson, if you're not willing to put in that extra effort and put in that, then you're not going to be very successful in the first instance. You need to be a self starter. You need to be prepared to put in that legwork and get to see your clients. The effort that effort that you put in means that they're going to trust you straight off the.
Right.
You're you're going to be along that journey of trust. Nobody's going to trust you straight away. Nobody's
Yeah.
going to trust you, But by making that phone call, setting that meeting, and making sure that we stick to that as well, you gotta keep to the you gotta keep to your promises. You know, I want to come and
Yeah.
see you because it's important that I really understand who you are, what you're doing, that what sites you've got going on. Really get under the skin of it. Makes your sales so much easier when you're then articulating that to a candidate or another client. I think the other thing in just to sort of note as a side note there is it's all about previous experiences as well. So
Go on.
if you've done it for somebody before,
Yeah.
you can show that you can demonstrate that you've done it before and you've had success um, previously.
Yeah. I like what you said because it's about trust, and then it moved on to like, well, prove the trust. Then you can't just say that I've got a lot of trusted clients. Here you go, because it's not good enough in 2024. You've got to fucking prove it. And getting in the car and going and showing somebody is proof alone, isn't it? That you're willing to take 1 or 2 days out of your time because you're going to prove how effective you are as a salesperson. And I love what you say there about you're aligning yourself to their direction. You're becoming a partner with them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So is
Absolutely.
that what modern sales is about then, would you say? I mean, because people think sales, right? And you got to, I speak with a lot of people that I do work with and, my own companies, and we think, let's get a salesperson in. And the perception of sales is that they're going to be someone who's really pushy and, hammering phones and buggy and everything. What's your perception of what an effective salesperson is for you?
I think extremely organised, for one,
Okay.
very knowledgeable about their market and what
Hmm.
they do. So really research into it, really know
Yeah.
everything you can do, um, and and it's a relationship as opposed to a cold sale. I think I'm not in the sales game. I'm in the relationship building game.
Ah, okay.
So I've got a network of thousands that I have relationships with, but knowing what makes those people tick and understanding what they need is all where I come in, really. Um,
Interesting.
mm. So
Okay. So,
relation,
yeah, you've built these relationships through the trust of the things that you've spoken about so far, and that gives you the network of. And how does that play on the internal game, not just the customer, but what does that do for you when you've got that network and you're doing this day to day activity to become this trusted advisor?
yeah. I mean, it's great. I've got clients, candidates, and they're all the same, by the way, in my
Yeah.
world. Candidates
Yeah.
are clients. And one thing I say all the time is, and they laugh at me in the office because I come out with these quick little sayings, but your relationship is more valuable to me than just this immediate transaction of recruitment.
Mm,
Whether
mm.
you're a candidate or a client, all the same, you know. I may not place you at the moment, but you're going to find yourself into a job at some point, and I want
Yes.
you to come back to me, you know,
Yeah.
repeat business.
I mean, you listen to my other episodes as well, and a few episodes ago, I was speaking about the term closer. Don't be a closer, be a trusted person. Be a professional salesperson. And this is an example now of what a professional does. But don't think about the transaction. I mean, you obviously see a lot of things on social media, maybe, and sales trainers, and I always talk about the quality of how sales training is in the world right now. You've got to be a closer. You've got to say this. When they get an objection, you hammer it down and you say this rebuttal. And what's your take on this? Do you think there's method in the madness to that approach, or would you take a different approach to this?
Yeah, I personally take a very different approach to and as I said, I'm no finished article. Sometimes I think there is a need to. I could be maybe a little bit more of a closer.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not, but if you're providing the service and that the client requires, there's no need to.
Mm.
It's long lasting relationships that really allow you to do it. Having said that, you can't rest on your laurels. When you've won that relationship and you've won that piece of business, that repeat business is really what takes you to the next level and keeps you growing. So being able to retain, like we were saying, retain A players, you've got to retain your clients. So working just as hard on retaining those um, is is imperative to be like a high performer and a salesman. I don't need a huge market share. All I need is my clients to do to be loyal to me and keep coming back, and we'll grow that way. You know?
So having that quality, not even quality, is it? It's that respect for your closest circle, rather than thinking, hey, I'm a machine gun, let's just scatter and go for the numbers game. You're more about how do you build that relationship with your
Yeah,
close.
yeah. And look, the market over the last few years has been it's been different. The last 18 months, I suppose, in recruitment anyway. Everybody's market's different, but in recruitment, it's been very tough. It's been very tough. But there's a reason why companies like Joshua Robert and small independents continue to grow through a perceived difficult market, and the bigger guys, really struggle, and it's because of looking after your clients, looking after your relationships, continuously, talking and providing expertise for them
Yeah.
and knowledge. We went into, it'll go back a few years. We went into COVID in a relatively strong position. We came out of that in a better position because we really supported our clients and our candidates. We nurtured them through. And when the chips are down, sometimes that's when you build the best relationships. You know, um, our clients they wanted to know what was going on. Everybody wanted to know what was going on. We were able to advise in that instance, and I learned a lot through that time. You know, and that brings me back to having that why and that
Ah,
you know.
there's proof of it, isn't it? When there was ups and downs, and there's things going on, and there was a lot of challenges in the economy for everybody, you stuck through it. You stuck with them, and you stuck through it all, and that's what having that partner is about, isn't it? You don't change the direction. You're there as your partner in through thick and thin, and you've proven it.
Yeah, that's it. And then, like recruitment, I mean, the ups and downs of recruitment are everyone will tell you it's difficult. Your product is people, and people, unfortunately, they change their mind,
Yeah.
and that's really difficult. So understanding again, like understanding what makes that person tick, really allows you to sell to them. You know,
Oh, would you say then, um, it's the person, or is it the company, or is it an and rather than an or there? So, do you know what I mean by that? Is it David Lane that is getting these people on board, or is it David Lane because of Joshua Roberts?
yeah. Sorry, Josh, but it's all me.
Yeah, I thought so as well.
Yeah. No, look, I think it's a combination.
Yeah,
It's a combination. You've got to, but I'd say majority is me. And seriously speaking, I'm not saying a bit confident, a bit bold, a bit brash, but it is me that my clients and candidates use me for.
yeah,
However, I have to be aligned with Joshua Robert and its
right,
core values, which I
right.
fully am.
Ah, okay, yeah. Tell
Yeah,
us more about that then. Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, very simple. And I know, Lewis, you were involved in the creation of Joshua Robert values and how we align. And yeah, having those values there, Gapo, I'm fully behind those core values. They align to me as well.
you
So
just tell us what GAPO is. So GAPO, isn't it? What you're referring to?
yeah, yeah. So it's grit, ambition, passion, and opportunity.
I tested you then. As I said it, by the way, I thought, shit, I might get him in trouble here.
Yeah. So to me, like they're all. I mean, they all align to everything that I can think of
Yeah,
really, and the way I do my business on a daily basis, and the way I sell. You know, so I think the opportunity at the openness, not opportunity, openness at the end there is all about honesty, transparency, um, clear communication,
This is not just to the customer, right? This is to the internal customers as well as in your team.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think if you're not open and honest and transparent with your own colleagues, like how something's really going wrong, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people nowadays they want that. They want that openness. They want that transparency. They want to know where you're going and why you're doing it and what your drive is. You know, Josh is very clear with um, his mission and where he wants to go. So
Mm.
I align to that. Great. I'm in a I'm in a really good point where, and I'm selling myself all the time to Josh.
Yeah.
Where's that next promotion coming from? Where's that next bit of commission? What can I do to earn a little bit more? Constantly pushing those boundaries on him, which is great. So yeah, but I'm really open about that.
Yeah. Well, it's sometimes as well. I mean, I do the same in my firms as well, is that I want my A players in my business to scale. And I get it from the start that they want to scale, otherwise they're in the wrong location anyway. Because the values of the business is growth. Okay, so
Yeah,
we've got to grow. If we don't grow, we get left behind. There's plenty of competitors. They're always coming and going. They show up and then they go and then they do their own thing. And we continue to grow. As long as we keep growing, we'll always be resilient to anything that comes up. The place that growth stops, though, and otherwise you just put it on a wall and say, hey, look, it's part of our values, it's on the wall, is when people actually fucking prove it in the business. And when they stop growing, it becomes an issue. And like you just said there about that openness, the openness allows for those conversations to happen, that communication to happen. So, David, you want to, you're in sales, you're successful. We're going to do a 100K club, a few episodes as well. So, anybody who is a member of the 100K club, you can log into that and you'll hear about how David scaled on his career to increase his income. But those conversations are going to come up with everybody in the business because somebody will think at one point they'll get a big bill one day, British Gas will put the prices up, so and so will do this, the mortgage rates will go up, and those conversations will come in any business. So the openness needs to be there then, that these conversations, when they do occur, you're giving a vehicle to the internal customer, the employee, that it's okay to have that under a win-win agreement.
yeah,
So what would be the win-win? I mean, Josh is all about win-win, isn't he? If you scale the business, he will scale you.
absolutely. Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's why you're sitting here, isn't it? It's because he's
yeah.
gone, hey, look, go and tell the people on the journey that you've done with you becoming an associate director. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The openness is absolutely key. Uh, Another thing I say, and they do like, is you've got to call a spade, right?
Yeah.
You've got to
Yeah.
call a spade a spade. You may not like what I'm about to tell you, but you need to hear it. And
Me
sometimes,
personally, or is that what you say?
yeah, that's what. Yeah, bit of both, Lewis. You need to hear it. You may not like it, but that's where you really do build long lasting relationships. Is when you
Right.
can have those conversations.
But
You know,
what gives Josh the right to be able to say that to you and you not turn around and go, fuck you, Josh, how dare you say that to me?
I think it's because we're all aligned in where we're going and what we're doing and why
Right.
we're doing it. So
Yeah.
we've got the same end goal. And we've got a strong purpose and vision around how we're going to get there. The bumps along the way are always going to be, they're always going to come. But if we continue to go on that same path, we'll get there eventually. And I think that's the same with when you're dealing with your clients and your candidates and you're selling to them. Um, you know, we're aligned in the same. I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. I'm here to help you, guide you through this period of time. And whether I can place you and make a fee out of it is kind of secondary
Yeah.
to what I'm doing, and what value I have to you.
Yeah.
I'm meeting a candidate this afternoon. Unfortunately, business went into administration. He's been there for a very long time, no idea which direction to turn in. Um, uh, okay, great. Let me come and see you. Let me come and see you. Sit down. Let's talk this through. Let's figure out a plan, and we'll take it forward. No promises. Not going to promise I can find you a job, but what I will do is promise my service to you. You
It
know,
sounds like it's unconditional. You're helping them, and that they may be in a little bit of turmoil right now, but you're going to help them by just giving them a bit of clarity and a bit of a plan. And if they choose you in the future, or wherever that may lead to, it sounds unconditional from you. You know what I mean? There's no, you're not after anything back from it. You're just doing the right thing.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. And I
So,
think
go on, mate. Sorry, carry on if there's more.
no, it's all right. No, I just think in sales, if you can keep that to your to your gut, then you're doing the right thing, and you're gonna go in the right direction.
What about
Um,
when people need a bit of a push? Because if they've never been there before, they need a little bit more convincing. Without
yeah,
being pushy salesperson, where do you draw the line between this is being pushy and they may perceive me as pushy,
yeah,
or they just need a little bit of a bit more confidence here? So I'm gonna pursue them a little bit more because they need me in their life. What's your take on that?
yeah. Interesting. I think it's all about setting expectations at the very beginning, from my world. So if you
Right.
if I
Go
were
on.
to tell you this is what I do and this is how I do it and this is where we're going to get to, okay. Um, if that is to happen, what would your response be? What are you going? Are you going to
Mm,
buy? So if it's a product, you're setting that out at the very beginning. If I get to a
right.
stage in my career where it's you're going to get a job offer, if this was the salary and this was the bonus and this was that, is that something that you would accept? Okay, yeah, I would. Yeah, great. When we go through that process and we get to the end and we get to the point of sale, you're then going, well, we didn't talk about this. I understand that you've spoken to your wife now, and you've got another one on the way, and that's changed things, and da, da, da. But we have had this conversation, so
Yeah.
I think that's really important in that challenge, really. Of
Yeah.
yeah,
So I refer to that as positioning them from the beginning.
yeah,
They need to know that throughout this sales process, you may think this is just an idea where people come along and they just buy some nice products and they go ahead and they go. But here's the reality: people will come and see me, and then they'll hear a little bit of uncomfort about the reality of what it actually takes. The actual job that I actually do is giving you that confidence to take that step forward. And sometimes I do have to put a little bit of pressure on you because if you don't put that pressure on you, change does not happen and you end up in the same place. So just a bit of a pre-warning now that when that happens, I'm doing it from the right place.
just uh, just briefly, I've learned a lot about that recently.
Yeah.
We're forcing candidates in Toronto, Canada. The building firm out there have come to us and asked, can we find the best UK talent to go out there and build what they need to be built?
Nice.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Now this is a huge. It's not about the job. The guys and girls in the UK can do the job. This is totally all about everything else that goes along with relocation internationally. So if you're not having those conversations up front early, you you're wasting everybody's time. You know,
Mm,
if they're not actually serious about moving to Canada,
yeah.
well, what are we doing? What are we doing? So, you know, we need to have those conversations early and go right. What's the life to think about this? What stage of schooling are the kids at? What what would it mean to go to Canada? Lifestyle change, all that stuff. So having that early conversation is is so very important. And I think that's because there's so much choice out there nowadays, as we spoke about earlier. I think you've got to be really strong on that from the word go.
But the reality is, David, is that any sale is because of they're buying a change, aren't they? Whether you're buying a different brand of soap or a different brand of toothpaste, it's a change. But
Yeah,
the change that you're talking about is someone's fucking life. This is where they're going to spend 40 to 60 hours of their week, which is the value ultimately, currency, remove it away from it is time. That's what everybody's got 24 hours a day. So the currency here is time, and you're going to spend different hours in a different place that could have a big impact in your life and how your future ends up.
yeah,
That is what you're selling as a recruitment consultant. And what I'm getting from you is that the level of emotional intelligence of understanding what that change can bring along that journey is critical for you to get to have that relationship with them from the start.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that's one extreme is Toronto, Canada,
Yeah.
right? The other extreme is your forklift driver or your labourer that you're going to place into a job in Birmingham for 2 weeks. Okay, well that is more money in his back pocket, which changes his life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
Exactly.
end. Whatever he's building, whatever he's labouring on, changes their lives because they move into a new house or they move into a new office or they use a new hospital. It also changes that man's life as well because he's got 2 weeks' money in his back pocket. You know,
Yeah.
and that's so important. Um, yeah,
Sales is changing lives. That's what we're coming to a conclusion here. Okay. So
absolutely.
to wrap it up then, mate, I just want to give us your biggest tip that if you could speak to all the business owners that listen to this right now, all the managers that listen to this right now, and all the employees. So business owner or director, manager, an employee. What would be the biggest tip that you'd give each one of them?
Um, I think business owner or manager, I think you've got to incentivize your staff to to really to get high performance out of them. So the harder they work, or there's reward and recognition for that.
Do you incentivize the outcome? So when the sale is happened and it's invoiced, or do you incentivize the step? As in,
Yeah,
like you go book these appointments, and every appointment you get, you'll get an incentive. What do you? Where do you?
yeah,
What do
Josh, it's all about performance, all about the activity and what you're doing on a day to day. We drive behaviours as opposed to outcomes.
right?
So um, if you're putting enough in, you'll get enough out. It's that old triangle, isn't it? That pyramid of success. The
Yeah.
more we put in, the more we get out.
From an
Uh,
accountant perspective, though, or a financial controller perspective, it's like, well, the invoice hasn't been paid yet, so you're actually rewarding. You see where these barriers could start to mix between. If you haven't
yeah,
been paid, then how could you pay someone? But
yeah,
my take on it is, no, you're actually paying for the behaviour, for that they've gone and done the shit to make something happen.
yeah. It comes down to mindset, and I'm a salesman and I'm an entrepreneur, right? So
Yeah,
credit control, they go and do their job. As a salesman and as a entrepreneur, it's all about my behaviours and getting more, getting more going and going again.
yeah,
So my mindset isn't worried about um, I want to get paid. Don't get me wrong, but let's keep pushing the boundaries. Let's keep doing that. And if my boss uh, targets me on that, then I'm going to go away and do that. You know,
yeah, exactly.
um,
And
I
what about
think
the
for me,
employees, then, mate? So what about employees? What do they need to do to step up to become a sales titan?
yeah. I think you need to be a self-starter, 100%. You've got to get out there and go for it and do it. I think you've got to challenge your your boss or your director or business owner, whoever's above you, challenge them because you're in such a fortunate position where really it doesn't matter to
Mm.
you. It's not your problem again. So go out there and ask and take the bull by the horns and go, I want to do this, and then do it. Don't go and say, I want to do this, and then not do it when he goes, yeah, or she goes, yeah. Take that and drive it forward. You remember, you're in a fortunate position because you're at no risk at all. So I've recently done a uni course, and one of the mentors on there just said, look, go big, go bold, go hard. Say you want everything, and then it's their problem to then step you back down into place. But that's fine. Know that challenge is coming as well, but go at it. Yeah.
It's an attitude thing, isn't it? From an investor perspective and business owner perspective here, I like what you just said, and make it my issue of how I reward you for it. But like you just mentioned as well, don't say it all and then not do it. That's a big frustration, because you're not skin in the game. You're not proving it. David, I think this has been absolutely fantastic. We've shared a lot of value. 45 minutes already. It's been fantastic to have you on. Guys, ladies and gents, if you're listening to this, then save this episode as one of the favorites, because there's so many gold nuggets that David has just mentioned of being the business owner investor, being the manager, and also being an employee, and how you become an A player and a high earner in whatever that you do in sales. So make sure you save this one, share it with your friends and team members as well, because having an environment of people that are like you, David, we haven't spoke about, touched on that, but I'm sure that it's going to help when everyone else is on that same sort of, like you said, they're aligned. They're all thinking the same sort of thing. And your team member, as an associate director, you want your team to be thinking that. So I'm sure you will, David, is share this with all your team members. People out there, managers and directors, they need to be sharing this with their team as well. Otherwise, the business doesn't grow and the environment doesn't grow. Okay. Thanks, David. Thanks for coming on. We're about to jump into the 100K Club now and record two or three small little episodes about how you become a super high earner in what you do. So anybody who's a member of that, they can click the link in the show notes and they can become a member if you're not a member of it. If not, catch you on the next episode and be great.